Good morning, guys. I'm going to head out on a run soon, but I wanted to record a video real quick for you. So yesterday you read Alma 1 and it talked about priestcraft. And then in chapter 2, we learn about a man named Amalekite. And he seeks to be king, and he is rejected by the voice of the people. And his followers and him are not happy about that. And so they make war on the Nephites, and they are defeated. And the Lamanites and the Amalekites join forces, and they are defeated. And Alma actually slays Amalekite in that chapter. And then in chapter 3, we learn a little bit more about these Amalekites. They wanted to distinguish themselves from the Nephites. And so in order to do that, they decided to mark themselves with red on their foreheads. And it tells us in chapter 3 about the mark that they did. And it also talks about the curse, which I want to clarify that the curse is actually their separation from God. And they didn't realize that they were actually fulfilling the words of God by marking themselves in this way. And so I want to talk about a little bit about here's my question for the day that I want to talk about and have you guys share. What are some specific ways we can show through our dress and appearance that we are disciples of Jesus Christ? The Amalekites, they wanted to show that they were not with the Nephites. And so they marked their foreheads as a sign of rebellion and to distinguish themselves from the Nephites and to identify with the Lamanites. This is what it says in For Strength of Youth. It says, through your dress and appearance, you can show that you know how precious your body is. You can show that you are a disciple of Jesus Christ and that you love him. So again, I want you to share what are some specific ways that we can show through our dress and appearance and also through our language and behavior that we are disciples of Jesus Christ. So these people distinguished themselves separate from the Nephites. And then there was another war. And in verse 26, it says, and in 1 year were thousands and tens of thousands of souls sent to the eternal world, that they might reap their rewards according to their works, whether they be good or bad, to reap eternal happiness or eternal misery. So tens of thousands of people had died, and it caused a great affliction upon the Nephites because the numerous hosts of Lamanites had come down and they trampled all of their fields of crops, and there were people that died, and they were very sore afflicted, it tells us in chapter 4. And they believed that it was because of the judgments of God sent upon them because of their wickedness, and they were awakened to a remembrance of their duty. And in verse 4, it says, they began to establish the church more fully, and many were baptized in the water of Sidon and were joined to the church of God, and they were baptized by Alma. And in verse 5, it says 3,500 souls united themselves to the church and were baptized. This was in the 7th year. And then you turn the page, and in the 8th year, just within 1 year, they began to wax proud and to be prideful. So for your reading selection today, I want you to read Alma chapter 4. I want you to read verses 6 through 13. And I want you to look for what happened as the church members were affected by pride. And then in verse 13, I want you to see how we can choose to be humble. I also today want you to read a section in the For Strength of Youth. You can read this section on dress and appearance or on language. And I want you to remember, we're looking for some ways, specific ways that we can show through our dress and appearance or our behavior and language that we are disciples of Jesus Christ. I love what he teaches in verse 13 that the people did. So be looking for that. And also, because of the persecutions and inequality and the wickedness that had come upon the people, Alma decided to no longer be the chief judge. He stepped down from that, but he remained the high priest, and he wanted to, it says in verse 19, to stir them up in remembrance of their duty, that he might pull down by the word of God all the pride and craftiness and all the contentions which were among the people, seeing no way that he might reclaim them, save it were in bearing down in pure testimony against them. And so I think this tells us that testimonies are powerful. And so he stepped down from being the chief judge so that he could bear down in pure testimony and teach the people and help them become righteous again. And chapter 5 is what we'll be studying tomorrow if you want to get ahead a little bit. It is a really good chapter about what Alma teaches the people and about Jesus Christ. So we will learn more about chapter 5 tomorrow. Until then.